and Jonson was nothing if not equal parts competitive and generous with his companions, rivals, friends in the London community that he socialized in. And to John Donne, he has an especially fractious relationship, but the admiration for the talent was very much there, and you can see that when he wrote a poem and addressed it, dedicated it to John Donne, and a very sweet and subtle form of rivalry and admiration comes out in this short poem. It's 10 lines, all straight couplets. It's very efficient, it's very simple, and in that you gotta wonder if he's maybe doing a little judo action of trying to make a virtue out of a weakness. Or a weakness as perhaps John Donne would consider. So to John Donne. Donne, the delight of Phoebus and each muse, who to thy one all other brains refuse, whose every work of thy most early wit came forth example and remains so yet. Longer a knowing than most wits do live, and which no affection praise enough can give. To it thy language, letters, art's best life, which might with half mankind maintain a strife, all which I meant to praise, and yet I would but leave, because I cannot as I should. Which is interesting. It's a declaration of some humility at the end. I would write this great poem for you, but because I am too feeble a poet, I cannot. And yet, if you look through it, it's really a very clean, little, unassuming lyric. And the sweetness of it, I think, is genuine. The admiration, perhaps kindled with a little jealousy as well. Thy language, letters, art's best life. Best life, he ends with that. He builds through the poetry. It ends with best life. Donne, and it's not exactly clear when Jonson is writing this, and Donne's career obviously had its ups and downs, and this is notably written before he turns to the Anglican Church and becomes part of St. Paul's and that great history. So he was still having a somewhat struggling existence as a poet. But he ends that line with best life, like there's something kind of noble that Jonson admires in the way Donne struggles on. And you have to admit that, all right, Jonson probably recognized in Donne something that the vast majority of people can't. Jonson was a genius in his own right, but perhaps living eternally in the shadow of Shakespeare and seeing this rising figure of John Donne coming up in the other realm. Shakespeare bested Jonson clearly in drama. Here is in the lyric poetry, Donne rising, and perhaps Jonson feels a little threatened by that. So that is sort of woven into this too. But what's really clever is, I find, towards the end, starting with that line, honestly, to it, thy language, letters, art's best life, which is a little fractious, like many of Donne's lyrics. It doesn't keep that regular meter that Jonson himself has criticized in Donne's poetry, which might with half mankind maintain a strife. Now you're back in a kind of straight iambic feel there. All which I meant to praise, and yet I would, but leave, because I cannot as I should. And there, the meter just sort of falls apart. The meter just jumbles up, and it's left in a kind of a ragged end towards the end. He maintains the rhyme, but the regular iambic, steady drum beat that you find in so much Elizabethan poetry, now probably in the age of James, is thrown out. And this is, in a way, Jonson's wink wink tribute or criticism of Donne. He says, I cannot as I should. It doesn't say that he is too good of a poet or not good enough a poet to praise Donne, but perhaps too good of a poet to praise Donne in the way that Donne should be praised, which for a Jonson critic, a Jonson-esque critic, might mean being a little fractious, being a little uneven, being a little jumbled together to create that rough-hewn quality that Donne made so iconic an element of his own art. And Jonson doesn't really play on that field. He can make little feints to it every now and then. He can get experimental, but that is not necessarily his game. And so there is something criticizing in this. There is critique woven in with the encomium, with the praise. And it gives this beautiful little instance of geniuses acknowledging one another, or at least one genius acknowledging another in this instance. And because of his genius, he can see what is going on in the poem that is going to elude the common eye. And for that, I think this little lyric makes something quite an extraordinary addition to the portrait of Jonson that we have. And it's important to remember how, especially with his rough and ready, garrulous characterization that has come down to us through history, mixing it up with in the London theater scene particularly, he is not necessarily throwing some elbows, but he's looking off in the direction of John Donne. He sees a clear genius, a clear rival, and he can appreciate him on that level in a way that nobody else can. And that's extraordinary.